You may think the pumpkin spice latte is the flavor of the fall, but for a long time now, it's really been apple cider. And today we're making apple cider in a crock pot, which makes it nice and easy and fast and a little bit magical. Coming up. Hey everybody, and welcome to my channel. I'm Krista, I am an astrologer and a foodie, and I like to make recipes that are infused with a little planetary magic. And today we are working on apple cider. And apple cider is the flavor of the fall. It resonates with the planet Venus, which happens to rule the sign of Libra, which we're in Libra season now. October is Libra season up until the 22nd. And this will be perfect for next week's new moon in Libra. When there's a new moon, you want to kind of dial back on what you're eating, not eat as heavy as you might do during a full moon. But you also want to set some intentions. So a good drink to set some intentions is apple cider. You can set your intentions around Venus related things, which have to do with like your relationships, how you're working with other people, perhaps bringing more finances into your life. Those are all kind of Venus ruled things that you want to look at when the new moon is in Libra. So let's get started. Now, I've already gotten a jump start on this. I have 9 apples, which I have cut into basically a quarter to an eighth of an apple, and I've dumped them in there. I've taken a half of an orange and I quartered it up, and then I squeezed just a little bit to get some of the orange out and put that on top. I have 2 cinnamon sticks, which I just dumped in there, kind of snapped them in half and dumped in there. I have added a quarter cup of maple syrup, and there's a teensy bit I'm going to drizzle in that was left on the measuring cup. Now I'm going to add a little bit of cloves, and cloves are very assertive as a spice. And so I'm going to not put a ton of this in here. I'm going to go with about 4 individual cloves, and that should be plenty to give us flavor throughout the apple cider. The next spice I'm going to use is star anise. This gives a little bit of depth to your apple cider. So I'm just going to, I've got about 3 there, and I'm going to dump those over the top. Talking about the apples, you want to mix up the different kind of apples that you use. You want to stick with apples that have a lot of flavor, because you're basically kind of creating a tea out of it. So anything that has a lot of flavor that will be imparted into the water is really good. I use 3 Granny Smiths. They can be a bit tart, so I mix those up with some Red Delicious and some Raves. But mix up your apples. Different flavor profiles is good. Add some depth to the flavor of your apple cider finished product. So we've got cloves, we've got cinnamon, we've got star anise. That's the basics. We're going to do a couple of funky things here. I'm going to add some rose hips, and I'm going to put in a tablespoon of those, and that's just going to add in a little bit of vitamin C, because as you go into fall, you start to think about your immune system and warding off colds. So giving it a little boost of vitamin C is a good idea. I'm going to add just a touch of ground ginger. You could use fresh ginger. I just don't have anything in the refrigerator right now, so I'm going to use a very eighth of a teaspoon amount of ginger, just to give it some warming. Ginger is a great spice for warming things up. It resonates with the sun and Mars, kind of co-rulership over it. So that's about action and activity and getting things moving. Venus can be a bit self-indulgent, doesn't necessarily want to take action all the time. She wants to bring people together. And so ginger just gives her a little drive, I guess. And then we're going to take just a little bit of nutmeg and a microplaner, and we're going to add just a hint of nutmeg. Let me grab my microplaner. And yes, I am wearing my pajamas. Since this is a crock pot recipe, we're doing it in the morning. And there's kind of two ways that you can do this. You can put it on high and let it go for 4 hours, or you can put it on low and let it go for 8 hours. Like you can throw it together in the morning, go to work, and then it'll be ready when you come home. So now that we've got our fresh nutmeg, but you just want a little bit of that nutmeg. Nutmeg is also a very assertive spice. So a little goes a long way. That should do it. It's probably about, I wouldn't even say 1/8 of a teaspoon, I would call it a pinch. And nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, these are all kind of the same flavors that you get in a pumpkin spice latte. And generally speaking, working with planetary energy, they tend to be more for use to bring in luck into your life. So, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, right? So now that we got all that going, all that's left to do is to pour over some water. I got a big old pitcher of water here, and you're just going to cover the whole thing in water. The apples and stuff tends to kind of float up, so that's hard to accomplish. So I'm just going to get it almost to the top and cover this up. And then all you got to do is put it on the heat. Like I said, 4 hours at low or 8 hours at high. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 hours at high, 8 hours at low. And then we will have apple cider. So let me put this on and I'll be right back. And while we're waiting for that to cook, just one cute little thing I want to show you. Now you probably did this when you were a kid, and you may or may not remember it, but if you cut an apple in half and you look at the pattern that it is on the inside of the seeds, see that? It looks like a star. And I think that's really interesting because it's, you know, apples are ruled by Venus. And if you look at the pattern that Venus takes when it's rotating the sun as viewed from Earth, it creates like a star pattern in the sky for us. And so the fact that apples have this little star shape that looks just like the Venus cycle, I think is really super interesting and super cool. And welcome back. Our apple cider has been cooking on the in the crock pot for 4 hours on high, and we used a slotted spoon to get out all of the solids. And now we are just simply going to ladle the liquid that's left through a strainer and into a pitcher. And I recommend using a plastic pitcher because if you use glass and you put this hot liquid in there, it is going to crack. Trust me, I know this. So let's go ahead and ladle. And the strainer is very important. You could also line it with cheesecloth if you want to make sure that you are getting all of the fiber stuff out. But I don't mind a little residue on the bottom. I think it gives it a little extra flavor. So I'm just going with the strainer. And we're just going to ladle this up. And generally speaking, this makes about a pitcher's worth. I had a little accident, so I have less. But you should get about a pitcher's worth out of it. Now, once you get down to the last kind of little bits, then you can certainly go the crock pot dump route. Just going to carefully pour it right through the strainer. And kind of swirl that around to get all the juice out. And that is how you make apple cider. Now, I guess the big question is, does this taste good? And that is what we're going to find out. And let's see. It's really good. It's got a really clean apple taste to it. It's not overly spiced and pretty easy. I mean, we just threw it in, let it go in the crock pot for 4 hours. You got to go about your day, and then you come back and you have delicious fall apple cider. I definitely recommend. So Use it for the new moon in Libra, set some intentions, and if you like my video, please like, comment, and subscribe below. It helps me out. If you want the full recipe and some more about, Venus ruled ingredients and the new moon in Libra, go to my blog, astrology.com, and thank you, everybody. Have a great day.